Julian Sayin has been nothing short of remarkable, and at this point, he should be the clear frontrunner to win the Heisman Trophy.
You are Locked On Buckeyes, your daily podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in, Buckeye fans, to your Monday edition of Locked On Buckeyes, which is your daily Ohio State podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Jay Stevens, veteran sports talk host, delivering passionate coverage about your Buckeyes. And today's episode is brought to you by GameTime. Download the GameTime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. During today's show, we will discuss if you should be satisfied with Ohio State's running game after the Buckeyes just beat down the Penn State Nittany Lions, and then also the Buckeyes' mindset when they face adversity at the end of the first half. But before we get to any of that, we got to welcome in today's guest. It's my guy, Mo Murphy, the Coach Mo Murphy podcast. Coach Mo is actually getting ready to start the girls' basketball season this upcoming week, so he's a very busy man. Glad to have him back on the show. And Mo, there's a lot that we could talk about as far as major storylines from Ohio State's win over Penn State. You could talk about the defense. You could talk about Carnell, Tate, Jeremiah Smith, and them putting on a show. But I think the biggest story to me when it thinks about one individual player is Julian Sayin once again showed everybody why he is the best quarterback in the country. And maybe you want to say maybe he's not the best quarterback in the country. There's maybe a debate for that, but he's the most accurate quarterback. I think he's averaging over 80% of his passes. The next closest guy is Fernando Mendoza, who's averaging 75 or 76% of his passes. And I think right now it's time for everyone right now as an Ohio State fan to ramp up the Julian Sayin for Heisman train, because this man's playing like a future Heisman Trophy winner.
Yeah, and man, Jay, I 100% agree. I think this should be, he's at the forefront. Now, I know people in the betting odds, and that's what a lot of people go off of nowadays. So I know he leads the country in betting odds right now as far as the Heisman favorite. But when you put your eyes on the guy, like, I don't think Julian Sayin was really in the conversation for real for anybody coming into the season. So you've been watching him build this Heisman campaign, as opposed to some of the guys, when they come into the season, you expect them to be in the Heisman contender, then they're just showing every reason why week in and week out, as opposed to building your own Heisman campaign. And Jay, when you go 20 for 23, 316 yards, 4 touchdowns, I mean, it doesn't get no interceptions. It doesn't get any more perfect than that. Like, if he completes 3 more passes, he's absolutely perfect. And so when you're talking about weighing what you look for in a quarterback, like Julian Sayin, accuracy, arguably the most accurate quarterback in the country. And it's not like he's just throwing screen passes. He's stretching the ball down the field. He's completing passes anytime. Would you like to see Ohio State test the waters a little more? Sure. But there's a bigger goal at hand. There's a bigger mission that I think it's clear as day what Ryan Day is chasing after. So, okay, we're not going to, but every time that we do stretch the ball down the field, it's completed passes, Jay, whether it's 20 yards, 25 yards, 30 yards, 40 yards down the field. Like, and I understand he has all the weapons. We could talk about Jeremiah Smith. We could talk about Carnell Tate, but you could not have a quarterback good enough to deliver the ball to those guys as accurately as he does. And the difference is we do. Julian Sayin was a former 5-star quarterback. It's not like this kid came out of nowhere and there was zero expectation that he had this type of ability. He was one of the best quarterbacks in the country coming out of high school. So I think just what everybody wants to see, the one pushback is what top tier defense has he done it against? Because the only true defense we played in people's eyes right now is Texas. And they go back all the way to week 1. We only scored 14 points, but that was also his first start. So context there of why we didn't throw for 200-300 yards. We just wanted to put him in a position to win, not show off his talents. And so he's just been, it's like Ryan Day unleashes him a little bit, week by week, to the point it's undeniable. Like, this is arguably the best quarterback in the country, playing like the best quarterback in the country right now on the best team in the country. And what other circumstance is that guy not a true Heisman frontrunner and a Heisman favorite? Because in every other scenario, if you argue against it, if I told you it should be Ty Simpson and you felt like they were the number 1 team in the country and he's the best quarterback in the country, you wouldn't have no argument. If it's any team in the SEC, if it's anybody but Ohio State, you wouldn't have the argument about best quarterback in the country, best team in the country, easily right now the frontrunner for Heisman.
You mentioned earlier the part about him throwing 20 for 23 on Saturday, 316 yards and 4 touchdowns. 2 of those incompletions were throwaways, just kind of lived to fight another day.
Right.
And then another one was a bad throw. Like, literally, it's just a horrible throw to Brandon Ennis in the flat. That's how we are with every game that Sayin has. You can look back at if it's 23 or 27 or whatever the number might be, completions to attempts. You can look back and say, well, he had this many balls he threw out of bounds because nobody was open. He had a bad read, or maybe he had a drop. You mentioned that Texas game. I think he was 13 to 20. He should have been 16 to 20 because 3 of those were drops. 1 to Max Clay or 2 to Jeremiah Smith dropped. So, like, that's where we are with this kid. It's not like the fact that he is just so good and we just know, like, all his makes. His misses are so distinct that they stand out. And I think around the country, as more people watch him and just don't look at the numbers, they use the eye test and then watch Fernando Mendoza or Marcel Reed or Ty Simpson. You say, well, these guys are really good. These guys are great college quarterbacks. But Sayin has separated himself similar to Ohio State. Ohio State, there's a gap between Ohio State and then Indiana and Texas A&M. There's a gap between Julian Sayin and then 2 through 4 in the Heisman Trophy race because he has been that good. And he started to stretch the ball out a little bit, saw a little bit more movement with the offense on Saturday, which was fun to see. But one of the best things was, as he's throwing the ball deeper or making these hard NFL-type throws, there's nothing about the throw that makes it look like it's going to be incomplete or a bad read or bad mechanics or anything. Everything looks perfect. And to say that about a guy who has only started now 8 games in college, bro, that's insane.
Yeah, I mean, and my favorite thing about Julian Sayin is, like, in any coach in any sport, it's like their favorite word, and they love any player that has it, and it's like poise. His poise in the pocket. Like, dude, have defenses made the pocket collapse over and over and over again? No, not yet. And there might not be a defense that's able to do that on this Ohio State offensive line. But anytime that the pocket collapses, knowing that Julian Sayin is not like Justin Fields, where he's going to kill you with his legs, he doesn't panic. Like, he doesn't take a lot of sacks. He's not a quarterback that's sacked heavy this year. And he's not a guy who just throws the ball away. Like, he makes plays. He gives his receivers a chance. Even when the pocket collapses, his footwork is absolutely amazing. When it does collapse, he doesn't panic. He'll roll out, take some steps on the outside, and make a throw on the run. Like, this kid can do it all. When we talk about, like, prototypical pro-type quarterback, it's Julian Sayin, like, from the body frame to the footwork to the throwing ability to the throw power to the throw accuracy, everything that he checks all the boxes right now. And like you said, he's only started 8 games. Like, this kid still probably has another year. You know, this kid has another year as the Ohio State starting quarterback before he's even contemplating whether he's going to go to the NFL. Crazy world that we live in where I can say the word contemplating, because in NIL, you never know what your opportunity is. If you have a chance to win a national championship again, run it back, possibly back to back to back to back, whatever predicament they're in 2 years from now, NIL could be the reason why a guy like Julian Sayin doesn't go, even if he is the number 1 quarterback, just depending on the mission. But just the simple fact that we have another year of this, like, the season hasn't finished. There's high expectations for Julian Sayin. We think with this talented roster on offense and defense, we have the quarterback. And so when you have the quarterback, you know you have the head coach. He's won the national championship, defending the national championship this year. But when you know you have the quarterback, you go out and finish that season with confidence. And they're just getting more and more confident. And the superstars are looking like superstars on both sides of the ball. But him being so good is the reason why Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate have been so good, so confident, and is now arguably not just the best duo in the country, but arguably literally the best 1 and 2 wide receiver in college football. We're not just talking about because them two, it's you got the number 1 and number 8 receiver. We're talking about you might have the number 1 best wide receiver in the country and the second best wide receiver in the country catching passes from arguably the best quarterback in the country. That's the best position to be sitting in while undefeated, heading into another week with another win, you know, that we're looking at on our schedule. We're literally sitting in a better position than anybody else, if you ask me.
We're just getting started. Mo and I are going to continue this conversation about Julian Sayin winning the Heisman Trophy in 2025 after the break. This episode is brought to you by our friends at GameTime. Guys, college football is in the midst of another exciting season, and I can't be more excited. The tailgates, the rivalries, the energy in the stands, there's just nothing like it. But let's be real. Actually getting tickets can feel like more of a battle than the game itself. endless queues, hidden fees, prices jumping at checkout. That's why I use GameTime, the app that gives the advantage back to fans. It's the easiest way to score last-minute tickets at the best prices with no surprise fees. What you see is what you pay. I pulled up GameTime, and in just a couple of taps, I saw amazing deals. I'm talking about your favorite college football games as low as $25. The app made it super simple. I could even see the exact view from my seat before buying. I love zone deals too. Pick the section, GameTime picks the seats, and you save big. So take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets with GameTime. Download the GameTime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply again. That's promo code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download GameTime today. As we continue this conversation about Julian Sayin winning the Heisman Trophy this year, Mo, there are a couple thoughts in my mind about things that I had that are kind of question marks heading into the season that aren't question marks anymore. One of them is him being a shorter quarterback, about 6 foot even, and some say he might not even be that tall. But then also I guess it was more of the unknown about how he may utilize his legs or how Ryan Day would want him to utilize his legs in the pocket or maybe running and scrambling and things of that nature. And those things aren't a problem at all. And as he's able to check the box with the mechanics, his arm talent, his brain, like the way he's able to process things is at an elite level already. But his height isn't a problem. It's actually never been a problem at all. I haven't seen him being a shorter quarterback be something where people are saying, well, he can be efficient, but he's still short. No one talks about his height. But man, he had a scramble on Saturday where he eluded a tackler. It would have been a sack. And then he scrambled and he not just made the right read, he ran with purpose and with definitive movements and steps. And I think he got 9 yards on that. I'm thinking, this young man is wise beyond his years. And it's not just with how he throws the football, but it's with how he moves with his feet behind the line of scrimmage. And when he gets past the line of scrimmage, he's always moving with purpose.
Yeah, it's Joe Burrow like.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's a mobile quarterback because he can move out the pocket, make throws on the run, and he can make a play with his legs. Is he a playmaker like the Lamar Jacksons and even Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen's because of size and agility? No, he's not. But he's mobile. He can scramble outside. He can scramble outside the pocket, extend the play, still make the throw, and he can also get you 4, 5, 6 yards. And if you give him 9, he'll take 9. He's not going to risk his body out there for an extra 2 to 3 yards. That's not the type of quarterback he is, and that's okay. But you want a quarterback that's not just only effective in the pocket. Can you extend the play? Can you get outside and make throws on the run accurately like you do when you're inside the pocket? That's how you got to be able to use your legs. I think when people think about can he run? It's like, is he effective? Is he Lamar Jackson? Is he Justin Fields at Ohio State? Is he JT Barrett at Ohio State that wasn't the most elusive, but was willing to put his body on the line to get that extra yard, was willing to, take some contact to try and get a first down, where Julian Sayin is just going to take what the defense gives him with his legs, but he can get out there and make plays. And so for that, like, you just want to have a mobile quarterback. You want to have a quarterback that can be effective when he has to roll out. And Julian Sayin has answered any question that you would have about that. What happens when the pocket breaks down? He has to roll out and make a play, whether it's with his legs or with his arm. He can make that play. It's not going to be a home run play with his legs, but it'd be what you need to continue to drive. And that's all you got to, that's all you really want to ask of your quarterback.
You're exactly right. And what Ryan Day and Matt Patricia asked of the defense, kind of transitioning to a different topic on Saturday, was for them to respond the right way and to keep their minds right after some adversity hit at the end of the first half. C.J. Donaldson fumbled inside 2 minutes right before the end of the first half. Penn State got the ball in plus territory, favorable territory. Honestly, I believe they got it in the red zone. Next thing you know, a few plays later, they're scoring, where Ohio State was about to go into half with that worse, a 17-7 lead. Now it's 17-14. And you got to realize you did a lot of good things correctly. Penn State also had a drive that they went down the field, got a little creative, and they scored. And Ohio State's defense came out in the second half, only gave up 60 yards to Penn State. They shut out the Nittany Lions. And it made me really appreciate Caleb Downs, Arvell Reese, and all these athletes and these players for not allowing the first half to be the story of the second half, but saying, no, what happened in the first half will not be the same story in the second because we're going to shift things, make the right adjustments, and suffocate Penn State's offense.
Yeah, and think about what you said, Jay. They had would you say 61 yards of offense in the second half? Jay, remember they had 1 yard of positive offense until midway in the fourth quarter. They got them 60 yards off of one drive. We was on their tail in the pocket, sacking the quarterback. I mean, we did whatever we wanted to on the defensive side of the ball. And then the one drive where we gave up and it looked like Penn State was going to be able to punch it in or leave the drive with some points, Caleb Downs gets an interception. And I know it was controversial with the whole, whether it was targeting or whatever it may be. And that's a discussion for another day. But even it was like, okay, we're still locked in. We know we're going to win this game, but we're not giving up a touchdown. And Caleb Downs makes a play on a jump ball in the end zone and takes it the other way. So when you talk about punched in the mouth, when Penn State, but it just told me everything I need to know about the respect that Penn State had for this Ohio State defense. Mm-hmm. The fact that in order to get their first touchdown, they had to get really creative. They didn't run the traditional Penn State style of football in order to get in the end zone. They had to do that in order to hopefully ignite a spark. And then it didn't really until Ohio State's offense made a mistake. And it looked like, okay, can Penn State bounce back? And it was all about how does this offense and how does this defense respond? Well, we know how Julian Sayin responded. We know how Jeremiah Smith responded. We know how Carnell Tate responded. And we know how the offense looked. But on the defensive side of the ball, they didn't give up nothing. One real successful drive for Penn State in the second half, and it resulted in a turnover. There's nothing more that you can ask, and I get it. Penn State was not one of the best offenses in the country. But here's my thing. When an offense is supposed to be elite and they put up elite numbers on a bad defense, that's what you're supposed to do when you're claiming you're cream of the crop. So on a defense, when you're saying that you're cream of the crop, until a mistake, we held them to 7 points, which is still amazing. It's still a Penn State team with 2 running backs that are going on to play in the NFL. Like there's going to be some offensive linemen from Penn State that's going to go on to play in the NFL. So it's not like the talent wasn't there. They didn't give up nothing, Jay. We're not even talking about points. We talking about y'all 60-something yards in the second half. You had 1 positive yard till midway in the fourth quarter when we finally gave up a drive where the game didn't really matter. And half of the yards on that drive was also a penalty. Like half of the yards on the drive was a 15-yard penalty for unnecessary roughness from Caleb Downs when they threatened to score on us again. So I cannot complain about this defense. We have arguably the 2 best players on offense. We have arguably the 2 best players on defense of Caleb Downs and Arvell Reese. And we talked before the show about Arvell Reese. I just want to give him his flowers because this dude was on nobody's radar as an NFL draft prospect. And to the Buckeye community, we did not expect Arvell Reese to be this good. We were wondering how good he could be and would he be a plus defender within the Ohio State defense. We did not think that this guy was taking over and we were going to get the best linebacker in the country to the point we might have 2 guys on defense being taken in the top 10. We knew what Caleb Downs was supposed to be, and he's lived up to every expectation. But Arvell Reese going from like flying under the radar, waiting his turn, and getting an opportunity to becoming a true superstar, there's nothing better. There's not a better story as far as when you just got to feel that pride and feel that love for an Ohio State player than what Arvell Reese has done for that defense this year.
We're going to hit this break a little bit early because I want to continue this conversation after the break with a little bit more time so Mo and I can continue talking about Arvell Reese specifically and then the run game after that. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of the game or want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. Once again, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. So, Mo, as you were talking about Arvell Reese, there were some things that flashed into my head that we witnessed on Saturday. And one of them was his ability to be an elite pass rusher. Now, he is an off-ball linebacker by definition, but man, you put homie on the edge and you allow him to just say, hey, go get the quarterback. You can get a little bounce in his step. And I'm thinking about the play when he went around the tackle pretty easily. He dipped around the edge, got the tackle's hands and shoulders down, leaning a little bit, and then he went and got the sack. I remember my thought in my head before that play, and I can normally tell in the moment when a player might do something right by the rhythm and just by the feel of what they have in that game. I remember Arvell Reese bouncing at the end of the line of scrimmage. I said, oh, he's about to do something big. And then at the snap of the ball, he went right around that tackle like he was it Will Anderson Jr., who was the edge from Alabama? Now, I know it's not the same player, but I'm thinking Will Anderson Jr. did that every single play. He played on the edge. Arvell Reese plays all over the place, but you put him on the edge and just say, hey, we need you to do this on this play. And he said, cool, I got you. He had the bounce, went around the edge, and he went and got the sack. And for his NFL prospect, bro, I don't know what NFL, like, if an NFL team wants to play him on the edge consistently, okay, he can do that at an elite level. If you want him to be an off-ball linebacker at normal linebacker depth, he can do that. I don't know if there's really a flaw in his game. I'm not trying to just be an Ohio State homer. I'm being for real. Maybe coverage, but I don't really see him get really guys when he's one-on-one or even in zone, them attacking his area very often because his closing speed is the way that it is and so fast. His pursuit is amazing. He is never out of position. If the guy is close to him, it's probably going to be a batted ball down. I don't really see the flaw in his game, but him being able to rush the passer in the way that he does over and over and over makes his defense so much better because you have to account for him no matter where he is on the field.
Yeah, Jay, I 100% agree with you. And I would love for your statement to be proven wrong. I would love for somebody that dissects film to give us a compilation of Arvell Reese making mistakes on defense to prove what we think we're seeing wrong. Because I agree with you 100%. I mean, this dude's tape really, from what I've seen, is out of this world. Like, it's a mistake-free film. Scouts are coming to Ohio State games. They are keying in on Arvell Reese. Any team that needs some linebacker help is watching Arvell Reese. They're going to consider drafting him. Like, this dude is only building his resume. I mean, to be a top 10 pick, possibly, who knows, maybe get himself into that top 5, depending on, we don't know who's going to pick what until the NFL season is over and we can start evaluating biggest needs, offseason additions, and all that. But as far as just pure talent, he's one of the 10 most talented guys that are going to be entering next year's draft. And so to see this, though, and to understand that he was not looked at like this 5 months ago. When it was June, he was not looked at like this. Coming into the season, the expectation was not for him to be this important to the defense, to be this super talented, and he is. And so it's one of those, like, it's an emphasis, too, for anybody who's looking at, committing to Ohio State. Like, he was developed at Ohio State. He's been at Ohio State. He's not some transfer that came in that we got that was doing big things for Bowling Green, and now he's ready to play on the big stage at Ohio State. Like, this is a guy that has been a Buckeye, flying under the radar to the point now he finally got his opportunity, and you see, like, because of his development, he was ready. Not just ready to be an intricate part, but ready to be a superstar in his role and be considered a superstar around the college football world on the defensive side of the ball.
Do you think Ohio State's run game is ready for November football?
I don't think does it matter? Like, that's where I'm at. Like, no. Like, the answer would be no. If you tell me that it's going to be one of those rugged, snowy games and we're going to have to run and the wind's blowing, no. But what if I tell you in Ann Arbor when we play Michigan, it's going to be 45 degrees and sunny with no wind chill? Like, now you're like, it doesn't matter that you can't run the ball. So it's weather dependent. There's only a couple games left on the schedule that we're really concerned about weather, because once the Big Ten championship comes around, once the college football playoff comes around, it's not going to matter. It's going to be played in a dome or somewhere where it's hot and sunny and great weather at nighttime, maybe 60, 70 degrees at worst case scenario for a bowl game. So in the grand scheme of things, what the mission is the mission, no. But if you tell me that in a month, like at the end of the month when we play Michigan, that it's going to be 32 degrees, snowing, and cold as all get out, and the wind's blowing, I'm gonna be concerned with how we will fare, because I haven't been fully satisfied with how we run the ball. But there is the part of me where it just might not matter. Like, if things shake our way and the weather's good, it doesn't matter that it's cold. You can throw the football in the cold. But if it's one of those beautiful sunny days in Ann Arbor when we play Michigan, I'm not worried. Like, if we don't get put in a predicament where we have to run the ball, and there's not a defense that I think is going to take away Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate to the point where we have to be effective on the run and we're not going to be able to throw the ball. Even though the talent level of the defenses is going to get better the farther we get into the season once we play Michigan and the Big Ten Championship and the college football playoff, I do understand that. But I haven't seen two corners that can sit there and play man coverage and put two safeties over the top and that be the answer to beating Ohio State and forcing them to run the ball. So until that happens, I don't have that much of a concern, for the simple fact I don't think it's going to matter. When you got the two best receivers in the country, best quarterback in the country, and one of the three best head coaches in the country, in my opinion, we got the best head coach in the country, but I know that could be up for debate. But when you have all of that on the offensive side of the ball, if your one thing is you might have to put in 4 different type of running backs to have some positive result of the run game, but you still can be on the plus side running the ball, I'm not that concerned. The only concern for people would be the one game, and that's at the end of the year against that team up north. That is the only game where the run game people will be so concerned about, we can't run the ball, we can't beat Michigan. Other than that, there's not a team left on the schedule where you're so worried about, whether they're going to be able to run the ball or not.
And I'm with you. I'm not satisfied with the run game overall for Ohio State standards. I do think the run game has been a project that hasn't been completed yet, and I do think that project could be completed this weekend. But based off the issues they've had running the ball, I don't know if it's all play calling. I don't know if it's personnel. I'm not sure what the issue is, but I don't think it's really a problem until the game against Michigan. That's in Ann Arbor. It's on the road. But let's just say Ohio State's playing Indiana in the Big Ten title. That is in a indoor stadium with a roof that's going to be closed. So you're not worried about the elements there. Ohio State's probably going to have a bye in the CFP. If they don't, they're going to be home. So, yeah, maybe that game they're going to have an issue. But they didn't have an issue last year when Tennessee came to town and they just blew the doors off of them. And what did Howard do? Threw the ball deep. And so maybe the Indiana game and the Michigan game would be the only two where, like, you need a run game, but that's not – only one of those would be an element thing. We have to worry about the weather. Ohio State's probably going to have a bye, play New Year's Day. I'm not really worried about that, the run game. I do think it can get better, which is the one thing that makes me feel pretty good about this offense, because you do have 2 weapons on the outside nobody can stop. You have a quarterback nobody can slow down who continues to get better. And I think the run game, if you just lean on Bo Jackson a little bit more, and even if you just say, Donaldson, you're only a short yardage back, and maybe play Isaiah West every now and then, I'm cool with that. Peoples is okay. I haven't seen like the plays where he demands playing time, that he demands carries, and I'm not mad about that. You're a second-year guy. Sometimes it takes guys an extra year to get up to speed with college football, and that's fine. I'm not mad about that at all, but I'm not satisfied with the run game overall, and I think they can accomplish all their goals with the current run game, with the status that it currently has. I'm not comfortable with it. Don't get me wrong. My standard is not going to lower, but you can win the national championship with Ohio State's running game.
Yeah, my only thing is, do we really want to see them try and commit to the run to prove to everybody that they can run the ball at the expense of not throwing the ball to Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate? And I think that's really where Ohio State's at. Is like, I mean, Peoples makes some good runs. Bo Jackson makes some explosive runs. Like, it's not like we're not able to do anything. Yeah. Like, it's just, it's not Travion Henderson and Quinshawn Judkins result. But at the same time, like, if Ryan Day buckles down, proves to everybody he can run the ball against Purdue, lets Bo Jackson get 100 yards, let Peoples get 75 yards, let Donaldson get 60 yards, but then Jeremiah Smith, Carnell Tate, and Julian Sayin don't have an amazing game, people are going to complain about that. So do I want to see more from the run game? Sure, but at the expense of how explosive our offense could be in getting Julian Sayin going, because at the end of the day, you can go running back by committee, and a guy can get going in any given game when you're talking about the running back. But the most important thing is your quarterback's confidence. And so I'm not going to try and ignite this run game to be what Travion Henderson, Quinshawn Judkins was last year, what J.K. Dobbins was for Ryan Day in 2019, like, or any of those guys at the running back position. I'm not going to try and ignite that at the expense of the confidence and the success that my quarterback and my wide receivers and my pass game is having right now.
He is Mo Murphy. He's the host of the Coach Mo Murphy podcast, and you can follow him on Twitter at Coach Mo Murphy. Mo, I didn't ask you this. I'm going to do this really quickly. Do you have a type of score prediction or how you think the game this coming weekend is going to go? Because we won't talk to you between now and the game against Purdue. What are your early thoughts about that game?
I mean, we gonna go in there and get up out of there. Like I don't. It's one of those get in, handle your business, and get out. Like I don't. Ohio State has not shown me that I think we're gonna go hang 60 on Purdue. I don't think Ryan Day has an interest in. It doesn't matter to him. Like if we could score 35 quick ones and then only finish with 42, he's cool with that. His point is proven. What he needed to see, he needed to see. I'm more so looking at how many points is what's Purdue's team total over under, and I'm gonna take their under. I think you should focus on don't let Purdue score more than 7. Don't let them get a touchdown. Take pride in that. You got a couple slip ups against Penn State. Get back to holding teams under 10 points. I think Ohio State should win. I mean, 45-3. Like this is going to be one of those. They're going to jump out quick. They're going to slow the pace through the middle of the game. Might have a few explosive plays to start the second half, and then they just ride out into the sunset. We're playing at kicking off at 1 o'clock instead of 12 p.m. because I guess everybody just want to be fancy now. When playing Ohio State, play some type of mental games to throw Ohio State off a little bit. So we're going to kick off at 1 o'clock, an hour later than all the other 12 o'clock kickoffs. I don't know why that is. Don't really care. But we're going to walk out of there by 2 o'clock. By 2 o'clock, Jay, we going to know this game is over. Like we're watching because we're Ohio State fans. You're paying attention for the small pieces. Maybe some guys come in, but 42-3, 45-3, something where it's not the most impressive. They left points on the table, could have scored 60, but they scored enough. Julian Sayin had a great game heading to his Heisman campaign. And one thing to pay attention to, though, is Ryan Day actually did address the Julian Sayin for Heisman and said Julian Sayin deserves to be in the Heisman race. So I am curious to see how Ryan Day is going to continue to unleash him and if that matters for Ryan Day to actually have a Heisman winner. And that could change how some of these blowout results in as far as what he's looking at statistically. If he really is like, maybe that's a new goal of his now that Sayin's in the conversation. Maybe he wants to see Julian Sayin win the Heisman. So that would be my, maybe that's why we score 60 on Purdue. Because we're going for Sayin for Heisman and Jeremiah Smith for the Biletnikoff. Like, we're going for all the awards on offense, especially in the passing game. But other than that, an easy 42-3, 45-3.
That's my guy, Mo Murphy. Once again, follow him on Twitter at Coach Mo Murphy. You can follow me on the same platform at JSteven07. Love having Mo on the show. We'll be back tomorrow discussing more about Sayin, Ohio State, and other things leading into the Buckeyes game against Purdue this weekend.